Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are having a very special IM coming all the way from Poland. It is called the Craft Ears Aurum. So a bit of introduction. Although craft ears may not be heard much in the chi-fi world, they are actually quite a well-known brand within their community. They have successfully worked and collaborated with many artists in their homeland. Now, in an effort to expand their market and their brand awareness to outside of Poland, Craft Ears have sent me the Aurum in exchange for an honest review. So thank you Craft Ears for giving me this opportunity. So what is the Aurum? Well, I think we should start with why the Aurum first. So the Aurum was actually released back in 2021. So 3 years ago, which is like ages in the chi-fi world. It is safe to say that the Aurum has been forgotten by many due to the continuous release of newer and supposedly better IM. However, I believe good IM stays good, and with an IM at this price point, I think it is worth putting them into the spotlight again. So is the Aurum a good IM? That's what I will talk about in this video. So the Aurum is a tribrid IM featuring a 1 dynamic driver, 4 balanced armature, and 2 EST driver configuration. It is the second most expensive IM from Craft Ears, pricing at nearly 1,400 euros. So I don't have the original packaging with me, but these are basically what the Aurum comes with. The IM and the accessories was put inside this high quality case right here. It's sort of like a mini version of a Pelican case. The case also has this handle on the side of it for the ease of carrying. So beside the IM, there's the cable, 6 pairs of different ear tips, as you can see there, and 2 changeable termination. Well, I think the accessories is a bit basic for a flagship IM, but it is what it is. Let's talk about the build quality of the IM. Here is the closer look of it. So the shells are made out of resin with a bluish colorway and with some sort of gold flakes inside of it. So overall, the IM feels very sturdy and high quality in the hands. So the shells are on the bigger side with quite a long nozzle. So on one side, it gives me quite a snug fit. So, but on the other side, it does make my ears hurt a little bit after 2 hours or so of wearing it. So personally, in order to have a great fit with this IM, I have to use the stock, I have to use the included double flare ear tips and push the IM deep into my ears. So as for the cable looks high quality. It is soft, supple. It has no memories. So it is not too thick and not too heavy. The hardware feels kind of nice, I think. The modular connector is a screw-in type to better secure the end terminations. Let's put it down into the sound impressions. So for the Aurum, I've mainly used the Chord Mojo as my source, as I feel like the IM does need a lot more current and power for the EST drivers and the IM as a whole to truly shine. So that means that my go-to dongle, like the D304 Pro, didn't make the cut for the Aurums, since they sort of would decrease the overall dynamics and the performance of the IM. So if you have a dedicated amp for this IM, I think it would be even better. Tonally wise, I would describe the Aurum as a U-shaped sounding. Here meaning that it has a very boosted sub-bass and high treble region with a relatively more neutral mid-range. So about the bass, I think the Aurum has a really deep sub-bass extension. Like the IM just doesn't seem to have a typical sub-bass roll off, and it just gets deeper and deeper the lower the frequency. This does make some EDM songs that are sub-bass predominant such a bliss to listen to. On Why So Serious by Hans Zimmer, the sub-bass drop just feels effortless, almost like a subwoofer effect to it. The mid-bass, however, is not as boosted as the sub-bass. Although it has a really good texture and overall quality, it does lack quite a bit in quantity. It is not as detrimental as the graph would suggest. However, I think the drums and bassy instruments does lack some depth and body to it. Trumpet doesn't have that sort of bite to it. It is quite easy to hear how the sub-bass stands out more compared to the mid-bass. During more complex bass tracks, I found that the bass driver has a really good transience, although its attack can feel like a bit soft and not incisive at times. And this is just a small nitpick on my part, since I am comparing it to the likes of balanced armature and planar bass. As for the mid-range, the Aurum doesn't hit you with a lush or thick sounding mid-range, but rather a very clean and well-defined one. So vocal goes relatively neutral, both for male and female vocals. So with how the bass was done, the vocal actually does not sound too thin. So male vocals like Frank Sinatra and Michael Bublé sounds fine, but it does suffer from the lack of mid-bass. Like it doesn't sound as lush as I normally would enjoy it. Female vocals, on the other hand, is actually near perfect. There is this small peak at around 1.2 kHz that gives the female vocals a little bit more popped compared to the usual smoother glide from 1 kHz to 2.5 or 3 kHz. So Celine Dion all by myself sounds clear and natural. She sounds a bit softer and not as edgy, like she is lacking this little bit of energy during the high notes of the song. Instrument sounds natural with correct positioning. The note weight is on a lighter side, which is quite easy to observe through snare drums and piano notes. Let's go into the treble. So I think the treble is the star of the Aurum. By that I mean in the lower treble there is a slight dip around 6 to 8K, which makes the Aurum has very little sense of sibilant or treble harshness. However, due to that dip, the cymbal strikes do sound a bit soft in its attack. On the other hand, the high treble of the Aurum is quite spectacular. The ESD drivers give the percussion instruments a really nice shimmering quality with great decay and tail notes. But if I have to nitpick, since the treble region doesn't have that usual roll off, the cymbals and hi-hats do have a bit of abrasive or sizzling characteristic to it. And this is quite evident in the Caravan by John Watson's track. The crashing of the cymbals and hi-hats sounds lively and forward, but they have that little bit sense of sizzling or wispiness that I was talking about. So with how the treble was done, the Aurum is very revealing, which means that any artifacts or weird buzzing sounds coming from the poorly mastered songs will be quite easy to perceive. Lastly, let's talk about the tech. I think the Aurum has a really great or near 3D soundstage. So by using the songs Bubbles and Wandering by Yosi Horikawa, the Aurum showed me a very wide sense of stage. Those first 30 seconds of the two songs hitting me with so many spatial cues left and right and from back to front. So there are moments that I felt the songs even go towards the back of my ears. The layering is more than fine. So elements of complex orchestra tracks from Two Steps from Hell and Hans Zimmer are shown quite nicely, but it does feel slightly blurry. So detail-wise, I would say the Aurum excels more in the micro dynamics rather than the macro dynamics. So since the Aurum is the very first Kilobox IM I've heard in quite a long time, I unfortunately can't compare it to any IM near its price point, so you would have to make do with my sound impression of it. So yeah, in and of itself, the Aurum is quite a nice IM, although I would have loved a bit more mid-bass quantity. I think it is pretty easy for me to enjoy the IM for how well the rest of the frequency sounds. Considering how long ago the Aurum was released, I do think the Aurum does hold itself quite well. However, with how it was tuned and how much it costs, the Aurum is quite frankly a niche product. If you have a lot of money to spend, is a treble head who is a detail chaser, who wants a really clean bass shelf, as well as a U-shaped IM, I think you can consider the Craft Ears Aurum. Once again, I would like to thank Craft Ears for sending me this demo unit. So that's it for my review, and see you next time. Bye.